if you're going to make a tablet, you have to have a very good experience. So performance is very important, obviously. People want very, very smooth touch interactions. You know, when you click on an icon, they want the application, whatever you're doing, to respond very, very quickly. So one of the things we announced today at our press conference, what we call direct touch. So one of the components that you have in a tablet is these touch controllers. Well, we've removed that because, as I mentioned, with Tegra 3, we actually have not only 4 cores, but we have 5 cores. We put in this 5th core that we, jokingly internally call our ninja core. So it's very stealth. We can actually take that 5th core and use it as a touch controller. So you get up to 3 times the touch responsiveness. So that's something people really want. Whenever I hear people talk about, Android tablets versus iPad, they go, man, I really love how fluid and fast an iPad feels. I wish I had that on my Android tablet. You can now have that with Tegra 3 and Direct Touch. I think the other thing is, performance. You're going to want to be able to do things on your tablet. If you're going to have to compete with the iPad ecosystem, you need to offer something more than an iPad. So one of the things we showed in our press conference today is the ability to hook up a game controller to your tablet, right? So you don't really think of it as just a tablet anymore. I think of it as actually like a mobile game console. So when I hook up an Xbox controller to my Transformer Prime and I'm playing a game, it's way better than the Wii, better than some of the older game consoles that are out there, and it's just an amazing experience. And once again, that's because of the technology we're putting in. Quad core, so you can have really great performance. But there's a trade-off, right? And I know a lot of your viewers want to understand, what's going on behind the hood and what is some of the magic of the technology we put in. Well, you can't just have great performance, right, and have horrible battery life, right? This is, after all, a mobile device. So that's why we developed what we call this Varial SMP architecture. So what happens if you're playing a game, we crank up all of those cores, we crank up the GPU so you can have a great experience. But when you're not doing that, we turn everything off and we go to this 5th core, which I talked about, this very small core that's almost like a ninja core, very, very low power. So when you're doing all your background tasks, like downloading your Pulse reader, updating your RSS feeds, getting your email, we're doing it all on this very small core. So we do all the work, but we have very, very low battery life, or low power, so it gives you extended battery life. But if you think of what a tablet is, you want your tablet to kind of do what your notebook or your desktop can do. You want that great performance. Just because I'm on a tablet doesn't mean when I open up a web browser, it should take an extra half a second to open up that window, right? Or load that YouTube video. I want really fast performance. Well, to do that, you need to have better performance. You need a quad core. You need GeForce graphics, just like we have in our notebooks or our PCs, but you need to have good battery life, right? You can't have that trade-off, which is why, with Tegra, we came up with this VSMP. We came up with things like Prism, which is one of the other technologies we divulged, which is, say you're watching a video, backlights are one of the things that consume the most battery life, right? The brightness of your backlight. Well, what if we could dim the brightness of your backlight when you're playing back a movie, but we then had an intelligent algorithm that on a per pixel, per frame, looked at every single color in that video and adjusted it so the resulting image was just as beautiful as the super bright image, but we were able to run the backlight dimmer and save you up to 40% power. The result is you could get what we internally jokingly call the double feature. You can actually get 2 extra movies on that tablet because of this feature that we introduced in this technology. One thing is clear, if we really want to take it to the next level, we felt like we needed to have a modem strategy, and that's one of the reasons we went out and acquired Icera, and they're a great company and they have amazing technology. So we identified that, realized that's something we needed in our product portfolio, and we wanted to bring that to market. But now it depends on what is the right segment. So if you see, for the higher end smartphone or superphones, a lot of those tend to actually still be 2 discrete devices. So for those, you might still see us having a Tegra chip combined with a discrete Icera chip, right, for that segment. But as you go lower down the stack, that's where integration does matter, right? Because you have cost pressure to hit those lower price points. So I think what the acquisition of Icera does for us is it gives us that ability that if we do want to integrate and have both the Tegra SoC and Icera modem on a single chip, we will be able to do that. And that was part of our strategy for going out and acquiring Icera.